So I never taught him this. But yesterday, and Dad was there. He's right. My father's here. Dad was here, and he saw this. We were taking somebody for a WALK. Okay? And if you say that word, he gets all crackheady. So we were being discreet until we were sure we could move. So then I said, hey, wanna WALK? And he went over to the closet. He's never done this. He pulled the leash off the door. I did not teach him this. That's a true story. Yeah. That's a true story. Hi, I'm Father Joe Krupp, pastor at Holy Family in Grand Blanc and St. Mark and Goodrich, and it's 84 days from the Tigers opening game. 84. Which is also the year, as Nick pointed out, that we won the World Series. So what do we do? Oh, today, as we do all the time, as if we don't, I'm going to answer questions because I'm going to stop now. There's a new pile, and I've not seen these before, and we're going to get right after them. So here we go. First one. And it's Torah. Okay. Recently in Grand Rapids, a priest denied communion to a judge who was married to her wife. Oh, I get it. I wonder how Father Joe feels about this action. Would he have done the same? Does the priest have the authority to pass judgment that is reserved for God? No, but it's his job to remind us of what God commands. As I understand it, I am allowed to deprive communion to those whose sin is grave, public, and obstinate. I think I have that right. And I have been in the past in situations where I have spoken to people who were public people who I felt should not be going to communion because I felt like they were out of communion. And one of the things that did not help, I'm going to be totally candid here, was there was lots of people screaming in that person's ear and in mine and in public about who should and shouldn't go to communion. So what I'll advise us to do, would I have done it? I don't know. I don't know this person. I think a relationship and a dialogue would be important. Maybe the priest had one, maybe he didn't. I don't know enough, okay? But what I do know is, if I may be so bold, we want to be careful that we are not policing other people's lives. This is, I think, what Jesus means when he says, judge not, lest ye be judged. He doesn't mean we can't call things wrong. Good Lord. If we can't call anything wrong, what did he die for? What we can't do is judge situations from afar that we don't have all the info on. I don't know if this helps. But so, in terms of who should or shouldn't go to communion, the church teaching is that you need to be in communion in order to receive communion. And that's what priests are supposed to police in private and in good dialogue in the hopes of working people toward conversion. I hope this helps. I think I answered the question, and if I didn't, oh my gosh, that was a good throw. You can't tell, but I just hit the person holding the camera, who just threw it back. Oh my gosh. Now I know exactly how the early Christian martyrs felt. Dear Father Joe, why is water added to the chalice of wine during Mass? All right, great question. We crumble, we throw. In fact, I'm throwing it at you. Not you, the viewer. I would never do that to you. So why do we add water to the wine? Because of a practical reason from back in the day. And what's really neat about liturgy is there's a bunch of these where there were practical reasons we did things, but we added a spiritual meaning to it. And it's really neat. There's a ton of these in liturgy, and this is one. It's this idea in a sense of incarnational, right? Which is perfect for this time of year. That in the same way that Jesus entered our lives, he enters every element of our lives, even the practical. So what was the practical reason people added water to the wine? Well, back then when they made wine as a wine concentrate. So what they did was they sat and they really thought about wine. I'm just kidding. What they did was, it's not a wine concentrate. So they took wine and they made like a super intense, like remember when you were a kid, the frozen orange juices and you broke them open and plopped them in a pitcher and added water and stirred. It's that idea, except of course it wasn't frozen. And it was a very thick, very potent wine. Water, you couldn't really just drink straight water in a lot of different places. So they would go a 50-50 water-wine mixture in order to water down the wine concentrate so that you didn't get all liquored up all day, but also so that you didn't get necessarily poisoned by filthy water. So as time evolved, of course, we took that lovely practical thing and we tied a deep spiritual meaning to it. So the priest says, by the mystery of this water and wine, may we come to share in the divinity of Christ, who humbled himself to share in our humanity. That Christ poured his divinity into our humanity and changed it. So that's what we're celebrating. We're taking something that used to be very practical and we're celebrating the spiritual meaning behind it. Do we have time for another one? Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got. We'll go skinny. Father, how can I nurture humility in my daily life? I think the key is just to do everything I do. Everything. Because if you look through the entire history of 2,000 years of Catholicism, that unbroken chain, there really is no one as humble as me. And I say this, of course, with great humility, because I can't do anything else. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, to be humble does not, this is, I think, C.S. Lewis, to be humble does not mean to think less of yourself. It means to think of yourself less often. And that really is important, that you and I, by our programming, are very self-focused. And so we have to ask for God's help to work hard, to be aware of our environment and the people around us. What are their needs? And this is really important. I really feel like this is one of the roots of a lot of troubles in our society. We are so hyper aware of what we want and what we think we need that we just blow right past everybody else on our way to get it. So one thing is to pray for and practice a growth in awareness of other people's lives, needs, pains, blah, blah. The second thing in terms of humility is to be, and I mean this, it's going to sound like a downer, it's not, be conscious, continuously conscious of your failings and the areas where you are weak. Recognize how much mercy you require in any given day. And it's a fine balance. I try to do this a lot, and sometimes I get down on myself. And that's not what I'm talking about. That's actually pride. Which, it's a vicious circle. Our goal is not to recognize our sin so that we can constantly feel sad, but so that we can rejoice in God's mercy and in the mercy other people have on us. And that sort of thinking. We are communal creatures. We're made that way. The first thing God did, a community of persons, was make a community of Adam and Eve. And so in this community, we really want to strive for selflessness, for thinking of others first, being conscious of how much mercy we require, and that's humility. So I hope that's helpful, and I'm sorry for how silly our camera person was at the beginning of this, talking about how humble I am. I just, I don't like talking about how humble I am because everybody knows. So, yeah. But I've said enough about me. What do you think of me? Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in and for sending these wonderful questions. We're just going to keep on going. Like these, share these. If you've got questions, just head on over to the Church of the Holy Family Facebook page and we will get after them. God bless you. Have a great day.